Larry the Cable Guy tweets, "No one is unwanted. Everyone is someone, no matter who you are. If you think you're one of the forgotten, someone has been or will be trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty." At Chris Allen Comedy makes his debut on the podcast. He tweeted, "Kidnapping equals sad parents. Kidnapping equals happy parents." Stephen Colbert tweeted, "Just tried on an old pair of pants and I refuse to accept the results. Widespread fraud." Mark Norman said, "If you do a good deed and don't post about it, it still happened." Conan O'Brien said, "Instead of what's new, I've started asking people, develop any fun coping mechanisms lately?" John Oliver spent his second show in a row talking about the election. It was his 2020 finale. John takes most of November and December off. I think he comes back in February usually. John joked he'd rather be talking about a rare yellow turtle that was discovered in India earlier this year, but instead was forced to talk about that a-hole. He says in normal times, the loser of a presidential election would simply acknowledge they lost and the country would get to move on. Trump is refusing to concede. He showed a clip of a Nevada poll worker claiming she saw a Biden-Harris campaign worker outside a polling place attempting to commit voter fraud with ballots. Oliver said, "This is either total BS or the dumbest scheme of all time. The Biden-Harris campaign opened envelopes and marked ballots in the parking lot of a polling place in broad daylight against the side of a van which had their logo on it. That is like if in Ocean's 11 they showed up to the casino in a giant Danny Ocean robbery service van and slowly put on their disguises in a lobby. It's the perfect crime." Alligator.org spoke to BJ Novak. You know him as Ryan from The Office. Now, when you do your 15th Office rewatch, what I want you to do early in the episodes is I want you to pay attention to who wrote the episodes, and you will notice, as I did during my initial watch, really early, I noticed this. The best episodes, almost all of them, are written by BJ Novak. He said, "We were really lucky to hit the spot about being so good and so popular." His favorite line from the show was a Michael Scott one-liner, which is, "I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious." BJ said by the end of the showrunner was writing ideas on paper and putting them down on the table just to jar your mind into seeing something differently. The secret is to go for a wide audience. If a joke didn't get a laugh, he would scrap it. He said, "Anyone who's done stand-up knows feedback, feedback, feedback. If you get a laugh from the accountant in the production office, then your best friend will probably love it." I agree with him there. So my whole career has been radio, and I always talk to people about what I call the hallway ratings. So what the hallway ratings are is if the people that work at the radio station are actually excited about what you're doing, that's usually a good sign because those people listen to the radio all day, every day. They're insiders. They're jaded. So yeah, if you get a laugh from the accountant, then your best friend will probably love it. That is really good advice. He says, anytime you get criticism, you go through a 3-step process. That is, F you, I suck, and then now what? The sooner you get to now what, the better you're going to be. I would have told you yesterday, but I didn't know, but I'll tell you that tonight, Dave Chappelle is in Austin. He's at Stubbs Walter Creek Amphitheater. Guests must be 18 or older. The shows are socially distanced. There were reserved tables at the outdoor venue. Tickets are $200 a person per table, plus fees. They're on sale at stubaustin.com. I have a feeling they're sold out, but I did tell you as soon as I found out about this. Anyway, Dave Chappelle still out there. If you can't get into Dave's show in Austin, or maybe you're not in Austin, that is possible as well. Kevin Hart has a new special on Netflix. This one titled Zero F's Given. And I'll remind you, the Netflix suit said, Kevin Hart serves up laughs and brick oven pizza from the comfort of his home and dishes on male group chats, sex after 40, and life with COVID-19. Filmed in September, 1 month after Hart revealed that he had tested positive for COVID-19 early in the pandemic. Decider caught up with Colin Quinn. I am saving that episode for after Thanksgiving because it'll get a little slow and I'll need some stuff. But they asked him about Kevin Hart's new special. And the way they positioned it was they said, you know, Kevin's got a new special coming out and Louis C.K. had a new special and Aziz got out of comedy jail. That's my phrase, not Deciders. You know, is anybody really getting canceled, Colin Quinn? And Colin said, well, it depends. Those are different cases as far as I'm concerned. But there definitely is, you know, a tone sort of wind that's saying, hey, listen, here's the areas to go into comedy and here's the areas not to. And it's not coming from comedians, and that's strange to me, you know? It's no different, even though it's a modern version, than the people that, like, burned Elvis Presley records in the 50s. The new squares are hip people in that way. So if you're a regular listener, you'll hear me do the quote-unquote article episodes sometimes on the weekend. Sometimes I like to record ahead, give myself a day off. Or, you know, the holidays are coming, like Thanksgiving. Out of Thanksgiving, that's to be a little slow. Christmas week's a little slow. I just recorded one. It was Mental Floss put up an article like 2 seconds before I was about to record today. And I'm like, oh, let me just knock that out. Like, I seriously, I sat down and recorded this episode, and I saw that article. I'm like, oh, let me just do that cold. It's the top 30 comedies of all time, and I'm still bashing my head against the wall that Caddyshack is not on the list and Animal House is not on the list, and I just think that's impossible. But more importantly, no Adam Sandler films on the list. So someday, some weekend, or some, day after Christmas or something, you'll hear that episode, but that's in the can. Variety reports Sinbad is recovering from a recent stroke. His family put out a statement saying it's out of sincere love that we share Sinbad. Our beloved husband and father is recovering from a recent stroke. Sinbad is a light source of love and joy for many generations. While he's beginning his road to recovery, we are faithful and optimistic that he will bring laughter into our hearts soon. Sinbad is 64, real name David Adkins, A-D-K-I-N-S. And you probably thought I was going to leave on a depressing note yet again. No, I'm not doing that today. I hope Sinbad is doing well, but I'm not leaving on a downer. From the CBC, comedian Tanya Horn has created a stand-up comedy stand. Visually, this looks like where Lucy does advice in Snoopy cartoons. Those are called Peanuts. But, the Snoopy cartoons, Lucy has like a 5-cent psychiatry stand. Tanya Horn has a stand-up comedy stand. It quickly became labeled the sit-down stand when Horn realized sitting down was a superior idea. She said, standing out here for 2 hours was just going to be too much, so I decided sitting down would be my shtick. She gets a lot of feedback from her ad hoc audiences as they walk by and are like, what the heck is this? She is part of a comedy group called Hilarapy that uses comedy to provide therapy. This is a source of fun for Horn, but also a form of outreach work to connect with the community during a difficult year. She's on the corner of East 4th and Nanaimo Street in Vancouver, so if you're in Vancouver, why don't you swing on by? She's out there twice a week. And that's your comedy news for today. You can follow on Spotify. I am also told you can get notified of new episodes on Spotify. Look for a switch that says get notified of new episodes, and then every morning at 5:30 you get woken up by a bing. No, I don't know how it works. Presumably it doesn't do that. You log on to Spotify and it's like, hey, there's a new daily comedy news. But 7 days a week, I'm here. I publish at 5:30 Monday to Friday. I actually publish at 7 a.m. on the weekends. Just I'm trying to catch people as they're heading out the door, and people don't get up at 5:30 in the morning on the weekend. And it takes a little while. Once you hit publish, it takes a little while for the various services to pick it up. Spotify is pretty quick. Pocket Cast, my app of choice, is pretty quick. Apple actually takes a little longer for some reason. Anyway, you can follow on Spotify or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice, and I'll see you tomorrow.